Hello, my name is Andrea Asio. I'm 22 years old, and this is my God story. So, I grew up in a Christian household with my father, mother, and older sister, and I accepted Jesus as my Savior when I was between the ages of 6 and 7. But I didn't really understand the full weight of that commitment, and I definitely didn't understand fully what it meant to follow Jesus. And it wouldn't be until later down the line, many years, that God would grab a hold of my heart. So the only time I really got to see my dad as a child was at the dinner table, and oftentimes he'd come home from work and he'd always be angry, and it wouldn't take long before his blood would boil and he would lash out on me, and he would always say he did it because he loved me. My mother was always distant to me, and I remember growing up, like, she never read stories to me, she never played dolls with me. It was always like she seemed to be in the other room. And I remember distinctly one memory. I wanted to be held so badly, and so I kept asking her, "Mom, can you give me a hug?" And she looked at me and she said, "Why do you keep asking me that?" And she just went back to what she was doing. And then for my sister, she didn't want a younger sister. She really wanted to be an only child, and she did make me feel like she was an only child. She ignored me. To this day, she has ignored me, and has always acted as if, that I wasn't there. And so I was really alone for most of the time. Because of all that, I struggled a lot with depression and anxiety, and in 7th grade, I ended up developing a skin picking disorder. And so from middle school to high school, I started to kind of become in and out of church, and then once I graduated high school, I went to a community college nearby my house to pursue an associate's degree, and I ended up starting to attend Sunday services again at a church that was nearby the college. So even though all this time, I had been plugged into a church somewhat, I continued to feel more broken time after time. And so while I was attending this college, I ended up staying at my friend's house most days of the week because I didn't want to live with my parents, and I didn't want to see them, didn't tell them where I was or what I was doing. On the weekends, I partied and I drank. And so a lot of this stuff just continued to accumulate over time to really just break me down. And there was a point when I was going to this church, and on Sunday morning I heard a sermon about the 500th anniversary of the Reformation. And I don't remember exactly what I heard in the sermon, but I do remember that something about Martin Luther, who just examined the scriptures for himself and realized what the truth was. It just really resonated with me, and I realized in that moment that I had up until this point been a Christian in name only, that I had just kind of believed these things about Christianity because that's what I've heard my whole life, but I realized I wasn't actually walking with Jesus. I didn't know him personally. So as the service was closing out, I remember that I heard God speaking to me, and he said, "Andrea, come." And in that moment, I knew that I wanted to pursue a genuine relationship with God, that I wanted to know him truly, and so I rededicated my life to Jesus. I felt like all the weight of all of the brokenness that had already been accumulating to that point had just been taken off my shoulders, and God gave me this new joy. Even just life, everything just looked so much brighter. He, helped me to manage my anxiety and depression and the skin picking, almost to the point where it wasn't as much, controlling my life as it was before. I started to listen to podcasts every day, and I started to learn, what exactly is it that I believe, and where is that in the Bible, and how do I know it's true, and how do I know that, these other worldviews or these other religions, they're missing the mark. And so that really helped me to have a strong faith, at least in head knowledge. I was able to have that strong foundation now of why I was pursuing Jesus, not just because of my parents and the affiliation with the church from a young age, but because I actually wanted this relationship, and I knew that it was that God was real and that this was genuine. So back in 2020, I moved to Columbus to attend Ohio State University, and I had the opportunity to live with the Ackers for a couple of months. I knew them because of my aunt who had gone to crew with them when they were both attending Ohio State. So I lived with them for a couple of months, and then I moved back to my hometown because of the pandemic. And so when I moved back to Columbus in the fall of 2020, I realized that God had still more house cleaning to do in my heart. there was still this idol of loneliness that I had kind of shoved in the closet. And God really had the last straw with me about it last year. Ever since I was in 6th grade, I have been in and out of relationships, all of which were not Christians. And so I was with this guy, and every time we met, it just seemed, that he kept inching closer to my boundary of purity. And it wasn't long before it was too late. After a certain point, I realized I didn't have the strength to stop him. I didn't have the strength to let him go because I think I was more afraid to be alone. So basically, after a while, he ended up breaking up with me, and it was the day before my birthday. And looking back, it was definitely a blessing because I don't think I would have had the strength to do it myself. I felt disgusting. I felt worthless to even God. And so one day I ended up getting the invitation to go to Northwest Chapel from the Ackers. So I attended, and I just knew immediately that God had led me here for specific reason. I made a friend who had gone through similar things that I had, and just being able to hear her testimony, it gave me the courage to, I can share what I've gone through, and it's okay. And not only that, just through mentorship and through mentorship, being plugged in with the youth group and becoming a youth leader, and then just being able to fellowship with all of you guys here, it just really helped me become more Christ-centered and really get my focus back on Christ. And even though I had repented for this sin, I wanted to make myself feel worthless. I didn't want to accept Jesus's payment on the cross for my sin because I felt like it was too great of a sin to forgive me for. So thanks to all of, just all the people here. It really is the people, because really this is my family now. I am so grateful to be reminded that the Christian walk is not a walk alone, that I'm with all of you guys. And I just want to say thank you for running with me.